Yo, what's good people? Welcome back to my channel. In this video, I'm gonna show you how you can create a nice dance floor DnB club banger. This track has a specific type of bass line. It's called 8-note bass. It's really popular these days, and I've had a lot of requests to break down a track like this. So I've decided to show you how I made my track Breathe with friend Prestige. Came out last year. So yeah, let's check it out. Alright, so just like last time, I'm gonna try and explain how you can create a track like this, because it actually took me quite a while to break down how to kind of like make track in this style. It's about details. It's not that complicated, but yeah, let's see. So we can start with the bass line because it's the most important element. So this is the bass that I have in the track. And essentially it's that sub-focus style bass line. Again, it's just two oscillators. One is icon has kick, second is a saw wave. If I was making a track in this style again, I would probably take on like a different approach. I would create like 3 layers. One would be lower, second would be middle, and the third layer would be higher. Everything would kind of like come from saw waves. Except the higher one. I would probably choose something like a monster or something from these spectral wavetables because they are really harmonic. But yeah, maybe I will break down another track similar to this style in the future. Anyway, so if we look in the piano roll, this is really important because I just couldn't figure out how to make a track like this. I was struggling with the bass line, with the melody. But if you see here, I'm basically using 2 notes. So I'm using F. This track is in F minor, by the way. It's like the most popular key for Dancefloor DnB tracks. So I'm using F, then I'm using D sharp. Here is D sharp again, but on a lower octave. And then later on, I'm using F again, and here is D sharp again. But yeah, you can see the F here is on a higher octave. So this is basically combination 2 notes on different octaves. And you can also see that the notes are kind of like a different length as well. So for example, this one is longer than this one, for example. And because I have here automation on like the LFO automation is triggering the filter, it's giving me that 8-note rhythm, but because I am using different length of the notes, it's also creating slightly different rhythm. So let's have a listen how it sounds. Now the change. So you can see, and well, you can hear that just by using 2 notes and experimenting with the length of the notes, you can create a nice variation. And yeah, so as I said, I couldn't figure out how to make a melody, a bassline melody for this type of tracks. And it's basically so simple, but it's all about detail. When it comes to the post-processing, what's really making a difference here is this distortion. This is my favorite distortion plugin. So without it, it sounds like this. Now with it, obviously there are some more effects like some saturation, OTT, and some EQ where are kind of like the mids boosted, so we can also play it without the EQ. So you can hear a lot of difference. This distortion is really beefing up the sound and it's making it like more massive. And also the EQ, by boosting some of the frequencies, you can achieve a really nice difference. So yeah, again, this is older project, so I might not have everything that I'm using at the moment. Some of the techniques might be a little bit older and not that kind of like good or right. I mean, not right because you can do anything in music, basically. There are no rules. But what I mean by this is that there are different approaches and a lot of approaches how you can achieve something. So I would say try to experiment. But yeah, you can really achieve a nice sound and kind of like more power by using some distortion and some EQ and so on. Because like without these two effects, the bass is kind of like not that powerful. And we want to have it powerful because we don't have any lead in this track, and it's what's making the track. So this was the biggest change and the thing that we've done. Then when it comes to bass line, there's only this layer, this mid bass that I played you, and then we have a sub bass, which is basically, I think, the notes are the same, but I'm kind of like having the sub bass playing also when the mid bass is not playing. I'll try to explain what I mean. So if I zoom in, you can see that here the mid bass is not playing anymore, but the sub bass continues here again, because that's also giving a little bit of a rhythm change, but also it's not empty when the kick and snare hits. So you can see here some gaps, but I like to do longer notes with the sub bass even when the mid bass is not playing. So we can play the track without like all the stuff that's here, the vocal and some one shots and so on. I'll just play the drums and the bass lines. And when it comes to sub bass, you can also see these little notes going higher, and it's also making a huge difference. So yeah, it's a really nice combination and it sounds really fat. Now when I play the track without the EQ and without the distortion, you'll see what I was talking about before. So this was without and this is with. More power. Anyway, so this is the main element of the track. Then what was next was to kind of like add more elements into the drop, because obviously this is not enough. And we found this vocal on a splice, and it has like two variations. You can see here this is like original, and then this one is the same vocal but different pitch. So this was pitched down, and this is how the vocal sounds with the drums and with the bass lines.
I feel your breath around me, no, not discreet. I need you, I'm not afraid to turn up the heat. I feel your breath around me, no, not discreet. Breathe into me. I love the way my body's moving to the beat. I love the way it's all like getting close to me. I love the way my body's moving to the beat. Breathe into me.
So yeah, but again, kind of like empty. The vocal is also really important here, but it's still empty. So basically what do you want to do with this type of track is that you have to add a lot of details, and that's what's also making the track less boring and more energetic, and kind of like taking it to another level. And because like in kind of like standard dancefloor DMB, which is more more energetic, more positive vibe, not this kind of like club oriented, you would usually add like a saw wave lead or something like that. But I can't really imagine a saw lead in this specific track, at least with some really long sustained notes, because it would kind of like fight with the vocal. So you want to add something short, and this is what I mean by that. Right, so let's speak about these little guys, and I will disable everything else, and I will just leave on these little things you can see here, and those are details I'm talking about. Because basically, if I zoom in, and well, let me enable this anyway, I will then disable, but you can see that this is playing when the bass lines are not playing here again. And basically I'm filling up the empty spaces and adding some kind of a rhythm as well with more melodic elements. And this is what I have. Let me enable the automation clips because I believe it wouldn't work then. So yeah, let's have a listen. So this is in the first section. It's super simple, just layering some one-shots. This is one of the patterns. Oops, sorry about that. It's just one note. I have the same note at the end with in a higher octave. You can see that I'm experimenting with the rhythm, how the note, like when the note is coming, and that's how you can also create kind of like that melody pattern in like a minimal style, but kind of like big enough for this type of track. So this is just like type of like a tech house inspired sound, because again, this I didn't mention this, but this track was inspired by tech house. I'm a huge fan of tech house, and I try to like implement some of the elements in this type of tracks when I make this type of track. So we have here one layer of that serum patch, and then we have here some steps, and eventually, for example, this is not even a synth, it's some FX. I pitch it down completely, and it sounds like this without the pitch. But I pitched it down to kind of like match the vibe of the song. And then another step is just a little piece from this long sample. So together they sound like this. And yeah, I was just like browsing through some sounds, and I found these, and I like to use non-usual sounds for melodies. So you could see that I used like a piece of FX as a one shot, and then a piece of this long synth sample as a one shot as well. It's actually just like the first piece of that sample, and this one shot step from the riser, it's also like the beginning of it. I'm doing here like a transient bleeding, so it's kind of like fading down when it comes to the volume. So yeah, sometimes when you experiment and use non-usual sounds for something different, you can have a really nice result. Then we have here some trap horn. It's that classic trap kind of thing. Again, it's pitched down just to match the key of the track because it was in G sharp before. And then here's the trap horn again, but different pitch, like a higher pitch. So now you can see that this whole track is about using simple sounds but experimenting with the octaves. Yeah, that's basically how these tracks are made. Later on, we have kind of like a little bit fuller melody. Again, this is some kind of like a tech house loop, and what I've done was that I didn't use the whole sample like this, but I took just like one shots of it and did a different arrangement and layered it with that serum patch I showed you before, and this is how it sounds. So yeah, I kind of like created a melody by using the one shot, and yeah, same thing later on in the track, but kind of like different rhythm again, and some other elements which I'm gonna show you. Before that, I'm also using some ear candy at the end of 16 bar here, and this is how it sounds. It's just some one shot again, but yeah, these sounds are those details that I keep talking about, and that's what's making this track interesting, because without all of these ear candies it would be boring, and you want to make sure that the track is evolving and it's not boring, and there's still kind of like something new coming, and so on. This is a part of the transition, we'll cover that later. Anyway, let me play you the whole track with the kind of like the one shots without the vocal. So what's happening here is that the melody, as I said, is like a little bit more complicated now, but it's still the same sound. Maybe it's in a different pitch. Let me check. Oh, actually, no, it's the same pitch, but I'm kind of like doing a different pattern, and yeah. I've also added these oriental drums. I mean, I don't even know why, but I just felt like it would fit. And also we added a cowbell, which is also adding slightly like a more energy alongside the oriental drums. And then another new element here is this like Atmo hit. I don't even know if it's doing something, but I guess so. So yeah, you can just see like some sounds layering together and trying to build the energy, because we are in a second 16 bar of the drop. Then later we have another 16 bar, but this one is gonna be emptier because we wanna prepare the listeners that the track is going to the breakdown. So let's talk about the breakdown. I'm gonna include here the third 16 bar of the drop, because it kind of like I feel like it's really important, because you always wanna kind of like remove some elements from the third 16 bar in order to prepare the listener for the breakdown, and it kind of like has to connect. So I already covered what was going on here. You can see also from like the playlist that this is busier than this one, and you can see that the Dancefloor mid bass is not playing here anymore. We also got rid of the vocal. We have only like some few words. Then the melody is gone. What's being added is this string shot. I love to do this. I feel like I'm using this in every track of mine. It's just this. It's basically just some one long ass string shot in F minor, but it's giving it like a nice atmosphere. And we also added a bunch of atmospheres. This is like some pad, some drone loop, and some brass. And it sounds like this. So yeah, you can hear that this 16 bar is less busy, and you can like really expect that the track is coming to the breakdown, and that's what you want to achieve. I'm kind of like also covering this because sometimes I find really hard to make a full track out of, for example, 16 bar like this. Because, as I said, this is not like that melodic Dancefloor DMB where you can add some lead pattern and some arps and plucks and so on. It doesn't have like a chord progression. It's not that melodic. There's like not much of a songwriting happening. I mean, it is, but in a like different style. And it's really, I find this like more challenging to bring this type of a track and make end result out of this. We were like really struggling how to make this kind of like slap and how to make the drop interesting. And that's when I finally figured out what to do, and it's just like by adding these details. From that time I made like more tracks in this style, and it gets easier and easier. But yeah, so I hope this helps. But you can see like a lot of details here, also some FX which I will cover later, and yeah. Anyway, back to the breakdown. Again, like last time, sorry if this is not in a proper order, but it's just so hard to like not explain this on the go, because I just really need to include the creative process behind this, and this is like the only way how I can do it. If you have any questions, let me know below in the comments. Anyway, okay, let's have a listen to the breakdown. Alright, so breakdown. One of main elements here is this sound. Super nice, I love this. It has volume automation. It's paired with the sub drop. and this is like really really key sound. If you listen to tech house, you can hear a bunch of sounds like this. It's from some tech house sample pack, and it sounds like it's kind of like going from faster to slower because of the LFO automation. You can see it's like kind of like more complicated patch, but it's so good, and it's just it just fits so well in the breakdown. And then later on, you can see the string shot continues, but it's also like fading down when it comes to the volume, because we are preparing the breakdown for a build-up. And we are bringing back the Dancefloor mid bass slightly with some automation. I think it's some filter automation and yeah, just filter. So you can hear it slowly like coming, and yeah, because it's kind of like more present in the build-up, and you want to introduce it before the build-up so it doesn't come unexpected. So yeah, I think let's have a look in the build-ups, and then I'm gonna cover some other important elements. So speaking of the build-up, let's actually cover it alongside the intro, because this track doesn't really have much of an intro, because I find it really hard to make long-ass intros in tracks like this, and you kind of want to go right into the point. So I'm gonna loop these 216 bars because there's already the drop happening after those 216 bars. So first thing first, you can see that the Dancefloor mid bass is here right from the beginning. I believe there are some automation clips. Yes, exactly. Basically the same as in the breakdown. So yeah, let's have a listen to the intro and to the build-up, and then I'm gonna talk more about it.
Breathe. 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 I feel your breath around me, no, I'm not discreet. I need you, I'm not afraid to turn up the heat. I feel your breath around me, no, I'm not discreet. Breathe into me. I love the way my body's moving to the beat. I love the way it's slowly getting close to me. I love the way my body's moving to the beat. Breathe into me.
Alright, so as I said, Dancefloor mid bass from the beginning, string shot again, because we wanna have a little bit of like a more melodic melody, like a more harmonic sound going on. I'm introducing the vocal here. We took only one word, breathe, because that's basically the name of the track. And then the full a cappella comes here later in the build-up. I'm also introducing the little melody shots, because as I said before, you want to introduce what's happening, and you don't want to kind of like have something coming really unexpected. What's also happening in the intro is that there's like that intro Reese bass. I use this every time in my tracks. I love to do this because you are kind of like introducing the vibe right away, and the bass is really important because, I mean, we are making D&B, but also it's like covering a lot of spectrum in your track, and it's energetic right from the beginning, but still not as powerful as drop. So you want to go for like a Reese bass in this style maybe. So yeah, alongside that, there's like a little bit of intro melody, which sounds like this. I think this might be actually the same melody pattern as in the mid bass, if I'm not. Let's see. Yeah, it looks like that. Yeah, that would make sense because it's like it's matching together. And yeah, I it's just like I wanted to add something in the intro because without it, it's boring. But you need to find a sound that will match. So another good thing to point out when it comes to these tracks is that the sound selection has to be on point, and you really wanna spend quality time on this. This is a combination of two sounds. One sounds like this. Again, kind of like saw wave bass on this sound, and then the second layer is some. This is also from the Tech House pack. Solid, little bit detuned because of the fine pitch modulation. Together, they really work together. So this is like a lower layer and this is like a higher layer, and together they just work so well. So introducing the melody from the beginning alongside some kind of like atmosphere, I believe. It's more of like a violin or string kind of sound. Then we have here this atmospheric loop, which is, I would say, pretty similar to this sound I was playing in the breakdown. So that's why I think we went with it as well. And again, just some splice samples here just to fill the rest of the track. This is the next one. And we are using like a vocal shot, some claps, some snap, hi-hat to give it the rhythm right from the beginning. Some tremolo ambience. So really bunch of sounds that work together alongside some patterns, and yeah, then you have this. When it comes to the build-up, we are basically keeping the Dancefloor mid bass as I said, like bringing the whole vocal already, then introducing the one-shot melodies as well. Swing shot is staying, but we are slowly fading it out when it comes to the volume. And then we have here kind of like a really massive snare roll build-up with some kick, which has like a channel pitch automation. Let's have a listen. And also some EQ automation. So like when it's slowly going towards the drop, we are taking away the lows, because that's basically making a bigger impact for the track. When it comes to hi-hats, you can see that the rhythm is kind of like faster here. The snaps and claps are staying. Reese bass is still here. I think we actually didn't do any automation on the Reese bass here, but if I was doing this track again, I would basically take out the Reese here as well. I would do the same what I've done with the kick. Basically use like a EQ automation and slowly take away the lows closer to the drop to get even better impact. What's important here is that here is also sidechain. So every time, actually it's making more sense when I bring this down. Every time the kick hits, the sidechain is being triggered as well. I think the kick is taking down the Reese bass, but also these downlifter and the razor, probably the string shot as well. Let's have a listen. Alright, so the intro is not being sidechained, but at least the pitch riser and I think also the main downlifter is being sidechained. This is also helping a lot when it comes to like the impact and so on. I always also sidechain all the FX in the drop as well. So yeah, this is basically it when it comes to oh yeah, you also have like a volume automation. There's like a little bit of a difference between the build up and the intro and then the drop. You always want to make sure to have at least 1 dB difference for a bigger impact. And usually you want to take out almost everything before the drop, because then it kind of like slaps more. In this case, we kind of like left a lot of elements. If I scroll down, you can see. But you can see that at least the kick is not playing here anymore. The claps and snaps are not playing here anymore. Hi-hats as well. And it still works. So let's have a listen again how it sounds with the drop. So yeah, that's pretty much it. Another thing that's a little bit different in this track is the second drop, and that's kind of like the 4x4 drop, because it was, I mean, it's still a big thing now, but it was kind of like fresh at the time. So we also wanted to make a track in that style. So yeah, let's have a look at that. The 4x4 section is like a second drop of this track. Then we switch it back to standard DMB pattern. Anyway, the build up is basically the same as here in the first drop, before the first drop. But yeah, let's have a listen with a little bit of the build up as well. So, using different kick here, basically the pattern is the 4x4, the kick on its own sounds like this. Like a really nice punchy with a nice transient, kind of like a really big. It really fits to this track. I'll play it just with the bass lines. Alongside the kick, we have a open hi-hat playing and a little bit of a clap. Then, in the next 8 bar of this 16 bar, we're adding this clap, kind of like more powerful clap, which is bringing the energy more, and it's making that 16 bar not boring, and it's kind of like developing again. And then another thing is that this kind of like a synth is also a part of this drop. It's like a more minimal but works well. I think it was used here in the last 16 bar of the first drop. Yeah, it's the same sound basically. I mean, can't really explain why this is here. I guess it just worked. So, yeah, also, what I find really useful is that using some sounds you've used in the last 16 bar of the first drop and then using them again in the first 16 bar of the second drop also kind of connects the track more, and it just works together. It's not that kind of like a off topic, if you know what I mean. So maybe this was also a reason why, because we are also starting right from the beginning with the oriental drums here, and in the first drop you can see that the oriental drums are coming later. So yeah, I guess that was one of the reasons as well. Anyway, then when we continue with the track, it goes back to that standard DMB pattern. This is kind of like a really quick switch. I've heard this in many other 4x4 tracks. So I think it was inspired by that. Basically, kind of like the easiest way how to get back to standard DNB pattern is that you bring back your DNB pattern kick and DNB pattern snare at the end of the 16 bar. Because there's like a little bit of a break as well. There's like no hi-hat playing there, so there's that little gap, and we also don't play any sub bass and dance floor mid bass here, so it's like empty, and the kick and snare has more space. I mean, snare has a little bit more space because the kick is still playing when the sub bass hits, but you know what I mean. Like, even using this small little gap can help you create a nice transition. So yeah, that's pretty much it with the 4x4 section. And then when we move to the end of the second drop, when we play the last 16 bar of the second drop, you will also hear that the track is kind of like pointing that it's about to end and it's going to the outro. And in this case, we are using the tech house melody that I used here and here as only some one-shots and pieces. here I'm using it as a whole piece. Oh, and we are also looping the breath and kind of like messing around with the acapella and so on. This is also a nice thing to do, kind of like play around with the specific words and yeah, see what works. And this way you can kind of like make it less boring. And that's it. Last thing I want to cover is some transitions, so let's check that out. So let's speak transitions and kind of like FX. Not a bunch of things here. I mean, a bunch of things here, but these days I use more FX. You can see kind of like a really long main downlifter and downlifter almost everywhere. And if I play it, especially this one, it goes like psh, and it's giving the track like a nice energy, and it's kind of like lifting it up. Without it, I find it boring. And on its own, it sounds like this. Sorry. You can hear it has, and you can even see it here. It has like a kind of like a sharp transient, and that's why I use that, because that's what's giving that the power. So yeah, you can see it's pretty much everywhere here. Then between the 16 bars, we have like a snare roll. And some siren. And a little bit of main riser. Together. Obviously, alongside these sounds, we have that tut. This shit, I love to use this. It's just, I don't know how to explain this, but it just works well there. So yeah, I really recommend browsing through some random one-shots from different genres and trying to use them in your production. Other than that, Endless Smile is actually not doing anything because I removed it. But basically, you could also do here like a reverb automation on the mid bass, or filter automation, or something like that. Kind of like take away the low slightly and maybe make a little bit of a room on it, and then you would bring it back. And the next section would kind of like hit a little bit harder. When we are approaching the third 16 bar, we have here something new. Yeah, again, some FX. I think this was original, and then I made it unique and reversed it. So it's kind of like the same sound, but it's gonna match with the reversed sound as well. I do this often with some downlifters or risers. because when I'm trying to find like a perfect FX for my first perfect FX and I don't have any luck, you can just do this and it's gonna work well. You can see that the same technique is used here. Basically this atmosphere, which sounds like this, is I think is it reversed or not? Okay, it's actually not. Sorry about this. But anyway, you could also try to do this with some kind of like atmospheres and so on. Vocal and yeah, like reversing stuff is sometimes really helpful. Anyway, the main riser is here again, and here when the track is going to the breakdown, you can see the main riser is here like a for a longer part, because you want to have slightly bigger transition. And yeah, pretty much the same in the second drop. And then between the parts in the intro and in the breakdown, we have stuff like this. Which is kind of like more sounds in one. It's eventually like a impact with like a sweep as well and so on. So you can see this one is kind of like bigger just by looking at it. And then we have another transition here, and this is smaller, and it sounds like this. It's like woof, like that swoosh or something like that. Also powerful, but not as powerful as this one, because we don't really want to use that powerful sound at the like a middle of the breakdown, because we are not kind of like, we don't need it. So the main point of this is that usually you want to use more transitions and more effects and more powerful sounds before the drop, when going to the breakdown, when the track is about to end, and so on. Like the major transitions, not the minor ones. The minor ones are basically when you are going from first 16 bar to second one, or second 16 bar to third one. But when you are doing the major transition, the bigger transition, which is basically when the track is about to drop or going to breakdown, that's where you want to use most of those things. So yeah, I guess, okay, we have one more thing here. Is this bass hit? Yeah, I guess you can like barely hear it, but it's there anyway. Yeah, I just like to add a lot of sound and so on. And oh, sorry, another thing here, another sweep. Yeah, so you can see like a bunch of sweeps, bunch of risers, some bigger risers, some smaller risers, some uplifters, some downlifters. And that's pretty much it for this track. So yeah, that's it for this video. I hope you learned something new. Let me know what you want to see next. You can comment below if you want to ask something. And yeah, also my new track Rave Machine is out now. It would mean a world to me if you could check it out. I'm gonna link the track in the description. And yeah, I'll see you soon.